Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. It's a much warmer Howick this week, but I believe this weekend coming, we're about to have snow dumped all over. So by the time you're watching this, you might be in your full winter woolies. I'm sitting with Willie Pelser, Chief Economist. Willie, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you, Ron.
So we've talked a lot about Jerome Powell and his speeches and what have you, and the Fed met in the last 10 days. And there was a kind of change of tone. I think at the previous speech, he said, one of the tones he used, we've been sufficiently restrictive, but there has been a bit of a change, and we've seen that flow into the markets, haven't we, Willie?
Yeah, Robin, the term he's been using is that we might have to act again.
Okay.
As simple as that. So, suddenly, the markets, there's a lot of moving parts. We spoke about it last week. So suddenly the markets are analyzing this again in the sense, okay, the Fed paused previous time, and now it seems like they did the wrong thing at the time because people analyze the minutes of these meetings up to the third decimal almost, and in there, it came out that they were not unanimous on not hiking at the previous meeting. So that caused some jitters, yes, and then just in public speech and comments and so on, we might have to act again because inflation is stubbornly high at the top of it. Yeah. But it's not just the US, because in Europe it also came out that the central authorities, central banks and so on are mentioning, they're going to act until they can see and get inflation back to 2% in Europe. And, so inflation has come down. So it's not just in principle, a Fed sort of announcement. And even our Reserve Bank has come out and said, we have to fight this inflation thing. So that obviously remains the topic in town as once central banks meet, what is this causing? And the underlying inflation that we've spoken about, the core inflation is not, it's stable, but it's not abating. It's not coming down as quickly as possible. So, the difference between the two is normally external stuff like energy prices or salary increases and all of those things. So back to some of the statistics in the US, it looks like their labor market are re-employing quicker than everybody is thinking. Yes. We spoke about last week the GDP being adjusted higher from an expectation perspective. So the Fed has probably got a right to say, listen, we need to act a little bit more. Yeah. And we all know the spin-off of these things is what we do is share prices and currencies. Yeah. So what we've seen suddenly, our market, the US market, they were all off on this scenario. Okay, higher interest rates obviously escalate into how do I do my financial accounting to see what the impact of higher rates would be. So that means, slow down in your business activity and all of those things. And slow down for the consumer, because interesting fact that not a lot of people probably know, but the US mortgage rates are linked to the 30-year Treasury rate. Okay. So US interest rates suddenly back at 4% on the 10-year. So the 30 years a few points higher than that. So the adjustment for the consumer on home loans is now again under pressure. Yes. So it's a whole maze of, in principle, volatility to remain. I think that's the thing. And our rand is taking the punishment again for all this activity. Not just the rand, but the emerging markets, because we've mentioned before, as soon as the interest rates in the US is higher, it attracts, in principle, more flows. Yeah. And that leaves South Africa, for argument's sake, or some of the other emerging markets.
So just talking about more flows, let's maybe break that down a little bit for the man in the street. So with the Fed indicating that they may have to raise rates another 2 or 3 times, people move money out of the American dollar and the sort of that environment, American bonds, into emerging markets, normally to look for better interest rate.
Correct.
But that comes with risk. Yeah. And so if the Fed rates rise more and it squeezes the differential, then there's a risk adjustment. I'm not getting paid enough for the risk I'm taking to be outside. I'd rather be in America. Is that
100% correct, Robin? So at lower levels, and stability in your other peripheral economies, emerging markets, and so on, I would go for that yield because there's less risk.
Yes.
But now the risk of the economic system under pressure, my reward is not in South Africa or in China or wherever I put my money. I'm not getting compensated enough for the additional risk when the rates stay high, or the possibility of taking it up another percent, argument's sake, or 50 basis points. So yes, the money then flow back to the so-called risk-free rate, which is at 4%. From a global perspective, that is a risk-free rate.
So the rand is back over 19 to the dollar this morning, and that obviously is dollar strength as opposed to South African.
Yeah, because at first, when it started to happen again, this move in the rand, I said to myself, who said what in South Africa? Because that's normally an indicator, when the rand move is some political mistake, type of thing. But this is nothing at that table at the moment. So yes, this is purely driven by the US economy and the US rand. Yeah.
Awesome. As always, we'll continue to watch what happens around the world.
I said US rand.
US rand. We'll continue to watch what happens around the world. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you get a notification of when we release a new video. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.